around this time. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are live, and do you know what I forgot before I even started? Is get a bloody pen and paper to write down the timestamps for the fights. I've just started now. Press live. I've just realised right. Hello, everyone. We're live and not ready. What an absolute nobber I am. Yeah. What a pen. I've got a pen. Got a pen. It's a good start, bro. And I need a piece of paper. A random bit of paper. Yes. Up your arse, world. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the MMA Huddle. As you can tell, we are ready to go. I'm well prepared. And as you can see, the handsome bastard next to me is Will joining us. The JRE of their podcast breakdowns. Only pay-per-views as this man. And ladies and gentlemen, it's good to have Will back. Will, I hope you're looking forward to this fight card, because to be honest with you, there's that many cards all the time, and the UFC keeps saying it's fight week. They keep saying it every week is fight week. I'd like to say it's not fight week, but we've had a fair few cards. This one kind of caught me off guard a little bit because I wasn't paying attention to every fight that got announced on there. And it was only obviously when they came up to close to the fight card itself to do tape study that I went in there. Do you know what? They've had just one recent change. Matt Frevola's opponent changed. But other than that, there's a handful of decent fights on this card, man. Are you looking forward to this one specifically? Because I think there's some great fights up there.
Yeah, no, it's good rematches. Like there's a little bit of some bad blood. What I quite like is like the Adesanya one is from years ago, 3 years ago when he first came in, and then you've seen both guys really mature into top five guys. Obviously, Izzy's got the belt and he's been great with that belt. But Vettori, since that loss, has actually moved on level after level and he's looked fantastic. And then the Davison-Moreno one was just a no-brainer. They had to throw that one back together as soon as they could, considering they threw it together in 3 weeks and it turned out to be as good a fight as it did. It was in that division, it was just the right thing to put that fight back together. But there's good fights kind of throughout the card. Like I say, they've got Nate Diaz on there, so that's going to bring some eyeballs in, and that's good for Leon Edwards. And but there's some good fights kind of throughout the card, and I love the two top fights. I think they're very, very intriguing fights, and I think I'm a bit confident in one of them, and then the other one I'm not super kind of confident in. So, but yeah, we'll see when we get up to kind of those fights there. But no, it's good card, 14 fights. Hopefully they all stick together and. They're in Arizona. It's one of the best states in the world, I think. Not that I've been to every state in America, but it's a really good place to have fights. The good fans down there in Arizona. So hopefully, it's funny enough as well that the Adesanya and Vettori, that's where they had their first fight as well.
Weird.
So I'm really kind of intrigued that they're going back. Yeah, so that they're in the same arena and everything. So that's just a little bit of a weird thing for me. So yeah.
Nothing to do with the Arizona Cardinals.
No, well, like I say. To be fair, like just Phoenix in general, it's just a beautiful city. It's really nice, and there's so many things you can do, and it's not like a party time, but it's just there's a lot of things you can do. It's a nice place, nice people, and like I said, I'm always going to talk good about Arizona anyway. So yeah.
And already jumping in straight away off the bat, combat study. Good to have you on, brother. Felipe and Peterson, my parlay. Nice. Already jumping in for parlay on the card. I'm loving it. I haven't even seen the odds yet for the card for any of the fights, so I haven't got a clue. Felipe obviously taking on Jake Collier, and Peterson is taking on young Chase Hooper. So big shout out there. Loving it. Here we go. The greatest duo back, BP. Who greatest duo? Who's that? Oh, thank you very much, BP. Pleasure, brother. I hope you're doing well, my friend. I hope life's treating you good. So what we'll do is we will jump into this, and like I said, combat study jumping on there with the Felipe and his parlay. He's actually I have the Tapology breakdown, so I don't know if this is a true reflection of the card, how it's starting, how it's going to end, but obviously this is what we're going to go with. We have Carlos Felipe taking on Jake Collier. Two of these boys you'd like to not skip. You skip salads and definitely don't skip seconds. Will, kick us all off, and who's going to win?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting fight, actually, to start the night off, because Felipe, he doesn't overly impress me too much. I think he kind of climbs around a little bit too much. And Collier, I mean, that was, I think, one of the biggest shocks. I think it was last year they went back together. When he came back, sorry, I should have said, like, Collier we knew as a kind of middleweight, and then you see a picture of him, you're like, what the fuck is going on here? So, He definitely dodged the salads and been eating all the other stuff that he shouldn't have been eating. And then against Tom Aspinall, you could just tell he did not. He kind of felt a little bit uncomfortable. Didn't want to be in that spot. But then he kind of rebounded, in my opinion, a little bit against Gian Vellante. Not that it's a great opponent to kind of rebound against, like a name guy out there. Vellante just did not kind of really look in that fight, in my opinion. I thought Collier just did everything a little bit better. He looked a little bit slimmer. He looked just in better shape. And his kicking game's always something I've actually really liked, even way back in his kind of middleweight days. When you look at Felipe, I think he's got better hands. Like I say, I think if it was just to kind of go after it a little bit more, I think his output would be a lot better, and I think he wouldn't make these fights so close. That Tafa one, I think he could have won it clearly, and had no room for judges giving the fight to Tafa in any way if he just threw a little bit more and stopped his clowning. But that's something that is, if you watch his fights throughout, he still does a little bit of that. So I'm a little bit intrigued by this. I thought the bet line was a little bit high in Collier when he was a bigger underdog. But my kind of head's on the Felipe side. I think he can just land a little bit more, maybe clinch up a little bit and kind of stop the fight that way. So I'm on the Felipe side right now. I think that Combat Study, he's got in there and a fairly decent start to the parlay. Like I said, I was a little bit more interested in Collier when the line was higher, but when I watched a little bit more, I thought, I think Felipe's just got enough here to kind of win a kind of sloppy heavyweight decision. So I've got Carlos Felipe for the win.
Yeah, bro. Rexley chiming in there. Good to have you on as well, friend. And look, Will, kind of agree with you a lot of it. With Felipe, he seems like he's trying to be like a Diaz-esque kind of cocky fighter, runs his mouth. You sometimes feel like he could put fights away, like in the Tafa fight, bro. I think the Tafa fight, he could have got that sorted out a lot sooner. Tafa, for me, is nowhere near the level he should be. I think Tafa's just a waste. I think Felipe, for me, that was the kind of, I think he missed a trick, Felipe. He could have made a statement, get a nice finish, good highlight reel, and that would have helped him out big time. And I think that's why the UFC have given someone like Jake Collier as an opponent to him. For me, I feel like Jake Collier, like you say, Will, he's got, decent kicking. I just don't think he's a true heavyweight, and I think that's something that's going to kind of bite him in the backside here when he's in this heavyweight division. I feel like he's, middleweight to heavyweight, that's a big jump. He's not like a Yoel Romero, where Yoel Romero, is absolutely shredded on those scales, yoked, and absolutely Anthony Johnson, even Chris Weidman to an extent. When Chris Weidman early days started off, he was a big one. Luke Rockhold's a big middleweight. There's a lot of guys out there. Bisping, even he found a tough cut down to 185. I feel like, Jake's obviously just happy to get paid, but I just don't still feel like he's going to have that power to bother someone like Carlos Felipe. I feel like Felipe is going to have the strength of a true heavyweight, if that makes sense. I think he'll be able to outpower him in the clinch work when he gets a bit clinch. And I think Carlos Felipe might want to dirty box Jake Collier a bit, really start to wear on him, get that body weight on him, make him carry his weight, gas him out a little bit, tire him out. But for me, I feel like Carlos Felipe might actually get a decision again. I feel like he's just going to be a bit cocksure again, not really focused on just getting a finish and just kind of run his mouth, be a bit of a spectacle. Here we go, Bal Keller. Here we go. Dream team are back. You guys are the best. Bal, thank you very much for that comment, brother. Love that very much. We love everyone who comes in and joins in the conversation. Feel free to give us your picks. If you have got a moment, hit the like button and subscribe as well. Only takes a minute, girl. But look, bro, I'm with you. I think Carlos Felipe should definitely get this. He should get a finish, but he'll probably get a decision. So is what it is, my friend. Next up, we have in which division is this one in? Jeez, I always forget. 155, the lightweight division, the deepest division there is, the Shark Tank that is the 155 division. We have a little Frenchie in Ziam taken on, and here we go again. Why did I get these two? Bloody hell. Luigi Vendramini. There you go. Vendramini. Vendor Machine. There you go. Luigi Vendor Machine. That's it, Will, isn't it? There you go. I got to be honest with you. Luigi kind of went, he fought an absolute savage in his UFC debut. Absolute savage in Zalik. I fucking hate these pronunciations. Why can't I say the name? So well, bloody hell. Alexis. Yeah. There you go. Thank you, bro. Zaleski. He fought an absolute savage. And to be fair, he went second round with him. Did good, to get to that second round. I thought was a decent debut performance, got stopped, flying knee, beautiful, all this happens. Then Jessin, man, that Jessin performance, man, for me, I was looking forward to seeing what Jessin could do at 155. I thought the dude's physical kind of acumen worked well for 55. The long body, the big range, has that good footwork. It's quite evasive, I felt. I thought he was going to do pretty decent things in that division. I thought he was just going to be an awkward guy to fight. And then I think saw Luigi's real striking, real potential in that division because like you said, I felt like he went a bit too high when they brought him in, and it's nothing not his fault at all. He's got pop in his hands. It's good to see. He can take a hit, as we saw in the previous fight. You know, he'll go to war. He's fighting a Frenchie, who in his own right, you know, he fought again. I know Don Madge was new to the UFC in a way, but Don Madge is, you know, a far more accomplished combat striker. I think Don Madge is a fantastic terror for that. I think Don is going to be an absolute nightmare for people in the UFC. If I'm high on any fighter, Don Madge, I think he's just going to be pound for pound one of the most exciting fighters going to get out there. I just wish he'd bloody fight. Obviously, he's scheduled to fight Guram. So that'd be a good test to see what his takedown defense is like and stuff like that, and see how long he can keep that fight standing and going to war. But Ziam, for me, I feel like with the fights and the performances he put in Jamie Malarkey fight, I thought that was decent. I thought it was a decent win. Again, it was almost like a good bounce back. You had an absolute, really rock hard debut fight, and then you get a bounce back like this. Again, I'm kind of looking at Ziam. I thought performed well. Jamie Malarkey's showed he's got a bit of danger in him, bit of potential. But I'm kind of high on Luigi here. I think the aggression from Luigi, I think the power in his hands could be the difficult factor here for Ziam. I think he's going to have a rough time. If Ziam could get him down to the ground, maybe he could try and get something going. But I don't see it being a ground fight. I kind of see this fight being stuck on the feet, and I think it suits Luigi to a T here. Here we go. All eyes, analyze. What a beautiful name that is for a YouTube channel. Who has money on Vettori? We will find out, brother. We'll find out if anyone's got money on Vettori right now. Do in the comment section, let us know. Mr. I have eyes would like to know. Will, what's your thoughts on the fight and what's your thoughts on the breakdown for this one, bro?
No, I quite like it matchmaking wise. I think it's two guys kind of relatively in the same kind of ballpark now. Ziam's a guy I've actually kind of had my eye on for the couple of fights he's had in the UFC for the simple reason he's big for that division. Like a really big dude. 6'1", kickboxing. I think he's predominantly a kickboxer. I don't like the fact he gets pressure against the cage a little bit too much, because Don Madge is a guy, he's a fellow kickboxer as well, and he kind of got him down, pushed him back, used his willingness to just kind of push him against the cage. And Malarkey did more of the same, where pushed him against the cage. He got takedowns. To be fair, I thought that Ziam did all right getting back to his feet predominantly, but he's got a lot of weapons there that I think he could use and be kind of relatively dangerous in the division. But to me, he's still really green. I still think he needs. I still think that he needs a little bit more season kind of in the UFC. But these are the type of fights that, because I completely forget about Vendramini every time. I know he came in short notice against Zaleski, and then he came in against Ayari, and I thought Ayari would just kind of vet lessen him a little bit. But he absolutely knocked the block off Ayari really, really quick, showing he's got a lot of power. He's got some pop in his punches and his kicks, and really just absolutely kind of brought it to him and got the early finish. So I'm interested to see if he's made that next step up. So I'm a little bit intrigued by this matchup, because like I say, I have bet on Ziam in the past, and he came through as a good underdog there. But I'm actually on the Vendramini side. I think that he's got a little bit more explosive power to him. I think that I don't know what his ground credentials are, like his jiu-jitsu credentials, but he's from Brazil, and every Brazilian seems to have a black belt. So if he could somehow get the fight to the ground, and like, I know there's a big kind of height disparity in the matchup, but reach-wise, it's only like 2 inches, so that's not huge.
No.
And I think he can, just from what I've seen of Ziam, you can push him back. And I think that he can do that, and he can probably win rounds through that pressure and looking like he's kind of dominating the fight with kind of moving forward. And that's something you kind of have to, we're back in front of fans again. So they might kind of pep the fighters up. It might make them want to fight a little bit harder, but also the cage is bigger, so Ziam will have a little bit more room than than he previously had against Malarkey. So I'm going to go Vendramini. I think that those power shots could kind of have effect there. I think he can maybe dictate the pace of the fight a little bit more. So yeah, I'm going Vendramini.
Nice, bro. Nice. It is one of the ones where I think they're both kind of in their early careers, and we're still yet to see what they could really do and what effects it can have. But we're going to go up to the next fight, which is down in the 145 division. We have also a quick one here. To me, Master Bay is Izzy Vettori 50-50. Check this out. I will never take the COVID vaccine. Never. Well, bro, a lot of anti-vaccinators, my friend. It is 50-50, the co-main event, as if you look at the last fight and look at where they both are now. But let's jump into that 145 fight, which was Chase Hooper against Steven Peterson. Let's have a little breakdown. If you give me 2 seconds, I think I might have heard the door, so I'm going to have to actually hold the fort while I just quickly check that out. Right? 2 seconds. If it is the door, it might be, might not be, but I'll be 2 seconds, bro.
No worries. Yeah, so interesting fight. Chase Hooper, a guy that I think was personally brought into the UFC far too early. It's kind of shown that a little bit, and he fought Daniel Tamer, the shitty Tamer, as people like to call him, and got a submission there. Guy's got very little kind of skills on the feet. On the mat, though, I think he is very kind of very, very, I don't want to say very good, but a guy that I think he knows where the fight needs to be, and he will always try and get the fight to the ground, because on the feet he's a little bit of a punch bag. He kind of gets hit a little bit too much, and his striking is something you've got to remember. He's only 21 years old, so he could absolutely move himself into being a fairly kind of decent fighter eventually. I just think it's a little bit too early on. In this matchup here, you've kind of got the bigger guy in Hooper against Peterson here, who's a little kind of dogged guy, very hittable himself. Both guys will take kind of shots here. And it's interesting to see. I'm just interested to see if this fight, if it takes place predominantly in the feet, because I'm not 100% sure that someone like Peterson is going to be smart enough to jump into just keeping on the feet. Because I think if he does that, I think that he can win this fight pretty comfortably and just stop going to the ground and really giving Chase Hooper there. But the thing is with Chase Hooper, the age that he's at, that he could start making jumps in his skill set quite quickly. So I'm just kind of interested to see more from the Chase Hooper side, because I think if he starts making progress, I think he could turn himself into a decent fighter. I just think he was brought into the UFC far too early. He should have been out there in the region as a LA face and just kind of building up more fights before coming to the UFC. And to me, I just like the doggedness, the experience of Steven Peterson. I think he can take the fight to the ground but not get caught in anything. But I think he'd be stupid if he did do that, honestly. I think that if he went to the ground with someone like Hooper, then he's kind of asking for trouble. So I'm going to pick Steven Peterson. I was a little bit more confident on him beforehand than I was kind of later on in the week here, or the middle of the week. So I'm going to go Steven Peterson. I think he can actually maybe knock out Chase Hooper. But would it surprise me if Hooper pulled off a submission? Absolutely not.
Bro, I kind of watch like the Alexis Blues Pena, Alexis Sarah's Martin Bravo fights with Peterson. You kind of sit there and you think he is that guy who's going to sit around that division. He's going to be a win one, lose one kind of guy, maybe win a couple here, lose a couple there. But one thing he does have, he's got decent stand-up, he's got decent striking. I feel like Chase Hooper, still, like you said, he is super green. How much does he remind you of Sage Northcutt kind of greenery? Came in a bit too early, learnt his trade hard and fast, and it kind of just took the steam out of it. For me, with Chase Hooper, I feel like Alex Caceres' fight was literally a guy, Alex Caceres, who's like a 500 dude, just using pure experience and knowledge and just going, I know how to beat you with just this simple thing of keeping on the feet and hurting you. With the Peter Barrett fight, it was one of those ones where, the heel hook, he got it, but he was getting absolutely mollywopped. He was getting bad. He was getting lit up. Peterson, decent hands on the feet. He can hit hard. He cracks hard. He's quite aggressive. He does go, like you say, Will. if he's an idiot and goes for a takedown, you're literally giving Chase the opportunity to take that W. I wouldn't even give him an inch to get that, And here we go. Hooper has been training with Wonder Boy, but let's not forget though that he will be training. He could be training Wonder Boy, but Wonder Boy's style isn't Hooper's style. I would like to think that Hooper won't try to implement Wonder Boy's style of striking because it's something that's very specific to Wonder Boy for many years of training, kind of like Lyoto Machida. You don't see people just going with Lyoto Machida training for a few weeks and coming out and doing that stance. It's not something you do. It's a Taekwondo, karate style of years of training with that stance. Peterson is a plodding Muay Thai fighter. If I'm honest with you, he does a bit, but he hits hard. He's aggressive. He's got a chin. I think he's got 3 rounds of war in him. He's got 3 rounds of hell. As long as he can take people down, he can stop Chase getting the takedowns. I think he'll overpower Chase with strength anyway. I think you'll see Chase do a lot of pulling guard, trying to jump on top, trying to pull the fight down to the mat if they're on the cage and stuff like that. But if you're Peterson, just don't get involved in the grappling aspect. Keep it standing. Light him up like a Christmas tree. He landed 1 or 2 decent shots, Chase Hooper, but I thought Barrett just was not really bothered about how much power was there. He just kind of realized that this kid's there for the taking. Leg kicks as well. You could literally rip Chase's legs up if you bothered to. He doesn't check it, doesn't move him away. You could literally win a fight with leg kicks against him. Talking about a kind of guy Chase got a little bit of mini hype behind him, but Sean O'Malley's got a perfect little return fight against what's his face again? Last Samurai. I've just forgotten what his name is now. How about I remember his buddy Smoker? How about I remember his buddy nickname but not his real name? Yeah, he got a match against Smoke. I think if I'm UFC, that's perfect, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's a perfect fight for him to go out there and smash Smoker with. I'm not being rude to Smoker, but I just can't see him losing that. But yeah, that's me as well, bro. I'm going there. I'm actually going Peterson bad boy as well. I think he can pop one out. Next up, we have, like I said before, we did have a change of opponent for Matt Frevola. It wasn't his fault, obviously, so nothing to him. In the 155 division, he was meant to fight Frank Camacho, which in itself was a bloody fun fight. And I was like, wait, hey, happy days, we're just going to see fireworks. They get another guy in who is pretty much not a carbon copy of Frank Camacho, but another guy who likes to get finishes, likes to get those kind of fights in. NBC, great to see you, bro. Hooper needs to take some time off to train and bulk up. Skinny guy's going to be okay, but he seems almost frail. Yeah, we got to remember, especially with Hooper, the older he's getting, you start to put a bit more mass on. That a great example, would be Paddy Pimblett. 145 was what he did, and he just couldn't do the weight cut anymore, and it was detrimental to his health. Went to 155, new lease of life, looked a completely different human being, and it's panned out better for him. Hooper's the same. I don't think I'd be very surprised if Hooper in like 2 years' time is sticking at the weight class because, like you said, frail is a good way to word it. He's got to be careful with how much size he puts on. I think he'll be sticking around. I think he might stick around for a little bit and then take the time off and the size he puts on, especially if he goes to PI Institute. He might learn some new little bits. Hooper getting a layup here. Out of all the fighters on the featherweight division, this is the best bout for him. Don't fall for Peterson here. BP. I'm sure the UFC don't want Hooper to fail because they kind of were big on him and pushed him a little bit. And he's definitely one they don't want to let fall through the net because they don't want another Sage Northcutt because they keep doing this. They did it with what's her name, female fighter, fought in Glasgow against Calderwood, Carvalho. She was another one where they put a little bit of hype in, they put a little merch in it, they followed Paige Van Zandt. All these fighters they kind of bump up quick, and they don't match them up well. It's all about milk the fighters, get them out the way, and that's kind of what they do. I just see him take some bad losses before he matures, not recover to full potential. I think Sage Northcutt's in the same boat, brother. Was it Sage Northcutt's orbital bone that got broken in that fight in one? Yeah. Dang. Dude. Woo. Sorry anyway, Will. Yeah. Matt Frevola getting, a debut against, debutant in Terrance McKinney. Now, Terrance McKinney has fought the likes of Derek Minette, Sean Woodson on the local scene, so to speak. He lost to those guys. Contender series with Sean Woodson. If you check that out on the Flying Knee, which was in itself a solid performance and a great win for Woodson with a flying knee. But Terrance kind of went on the regional scene against, like, for example, like, a guy who's 3-2, got a stoppage, doesn't matter, after 16 seconds. But he did fight an LFA twice, head kick stoppage in 17 seconds, and a first round finish in 1 minute. So that, fair enough, he got the win, gets the call up. Matt Frevola is all about high pace, high aggression, in your face, doesn't stop. I actually love watching Matt Frevola fight. I do. I think he's just a fun, entertaining fighter. He's got a chin. He'll do the chicken dance a little bit, and he keeps coming back, and he's up for it. And it's almost like I don't care, because I'm going to be here at the end of the 3 rounds, and I'm going to be in your face. And if you're not willing to keep going at the pace I'm at, you're going to fall behind, and I'm going to take you out. Now, Armin Tsuzuki, what a performance that was against him. The right things at the right time, and really nullified what he had and to offer. But Lewis Pena fight, the Jarlin Turner fight, I thought they were absolutely dead on. I think McKinney's going to have a short notice step up as well. I think he might find a bit of a problem here with this fight. I think he might have a bit of difficulty, because he did fight literally the other week or something like that. It wasn't that long ago, was it? What's the 4th? The 4th of bloody June. Yeah. So the dude fought on the 4th of June. So don't forget, he's fought on the 4th of June. He's had the fight after the weigh-in, after he's fought. He's obviously had a bit of food, took a couple of days off. He's got a weight cut again. Now, as we know, weight cutting really close together isn't the best for you. I'm not sure how much he's going to cut, because that was a catch weight fight. So kudos, he didn't have to cut those extra 5 pounds. It was a 160 catch weight fight. But he's still got to cut those down to 55 this time around. So we've got to look out for the weight cut, see how his body feels with it. I'm picking Frevola just simply on the fact that Frevola's I think he's a great, fun fighter to watch, and he's got a hell of a pace and power to him. Solid chin. I think McKinney's going to have a bit of a tough time come 2nd, 3rd round when he realises that Frevola's still there, still pressing, maybe going for takedowns as well from a Frevola side. I think you can see that happen. His face exploded, poor guy. Yeah, I knew him as a teenager. He used to scold me for coming to PJJ High School. All right, NBC, you knew Sage. Okay, cool. His sister's a badass too as well. She's kudos to her. She's doing well. She won a debut, didn't she? Great dude. Sage Northcott. Man, he's got tiny biceps though. Let's be honest, he needs to work on those. Could do with arms, I think one thing about Sage Northcott, Will, that I love is his social media platform on the complete marketing that he does. It's not even subtle. It's just there in your face. I kind of like the dude for that. It makes me laugh. But Will, I'm going to go for the Frevola win here. I just think short notice. I'm going for Frevola, bro.
Yeah, I'm on the Frevola side as well. I think I was on the Frevola. I was a little bit iffy between him and Camacho, and then I've watched a little bit. I watched a little bit more Frevola, and you can definitely see him kind of growing into his UFC kind of career a little bit. And actually, I was fairly impressed with his performance against Sarukian, because that was a whole weird kind of scenario with Azaitar. Sarukian missed weight. But then he's getting a step up an opponent from what he was facing with Azaitar, a different type of fighter, because Azaitar's got massive power, can take you out with one shot, where Sarukian, we haven't really seen that as of yet, and he's more of a grappler, and he kind of showed his grappling chops in that one. But McKinney's a guy that we knew back from when he fought Sean Woods and he got knocked out with a kind of vicious knee, went out there in the regional scene and has really kind of just bettered himself altogether, which is props to him for that. But I just think Frevola is, if he decides to kind of wrestle hard here, I think he can mix this one up a little bit more. But don't get into a brawl with this guy, because I think, like I said, I've not managed to really look into McKinney all that much, but I think he's probably got a longer reach here. He can maybe try and be a little bit more explosive with his striking, because I don't really trust the chin too much of Frevola. But I think with the short noticeness of the fight, I think that plays into the hands of Frevola a little bit. So I'm on Matt Frevola in this spot. I think that I just like him a little bit more in this spot with his all around kind of game. I think he'll kind of grind out a win here and really just wear on Terrance McKinney.
Nice, bro. Now, next up we have in the ladies' department is the wonderful Pannie Kianzad, who is awesome against Alexis Davis in the 135-pound division. Big Willie, I quite like the matchup. It's a good test here for Pannie. I think it's a tough test. I think Alexis Davis is one of the kind of unsung girls in that division who's a badass and she kicks ass.
Yeah, well, like I say, me and you have always really kind of liked Pannie Kianzad. I've always really liked. I've enjoyed kind of watching her come through Cage Warriors into Invicta. She's kind of went up a little bit, up and down a little bit, but she's really started to kind of level herself out a little bit, and she's started to put some wins together. So much respect to kind of Pannie Kianzad. Then you kind of move over to Alexis Davis, and I thought she was done, but I thought she had a really good style matchup to come back to against Mazo, where she could get takedowns, and she showed that she can get takedowns, and Mazo showed she couldn't really go off her back either. So if this stays on the feet, I think Kianzad is just a little bit too fluent. I think she's going to pop that nose of Alexis Davis. She's very hittable, like super hittable, but she has to be careful that if Davis gets her to the ground, because Davis can not wet blanket you a little bit, but she can just use all that experience, take the fight to the ground, and really just kind of ride out rounds down there. But it's been one of those things recently where doing that's not really kind of paid dividends for wrestlers or grapplers or anything like that. So, and I think Kianzad's got enough in her game to get back to her feet. Personally, I think that she can get back to her feet fairly, not easily, but I think if she was to take the right steps, one at a time, she'll get back to the feet. And I think on there, I think she's got more of a 15-minute pace to her than what Davis has. So I'm kind of on the Pannie Kianzad side. I think the betting line's a little bit off. I think it's a little bit high on the Kianzad side. I prefer to get her at a lower number. So maybe I wouldn't, if you're out there thinking of taking a shot on Alexis Davis, the odds aren't all too bad for it, in my opinion, to do that. And if she was to get the fight to the ground, could blanket this fight and kind of stall a little bit, she might get a decision. So I'm just on the Kianzad side. I think she's really in the best spot of her career right now. And she was up at 145. She's found her division at 135. She's got the confidence there. I think this is a good matchup for her. So I'm going to take Pannie Kianzad.
And to help Will out, put big money on Alexis so the numbers go down for Pannie so Will can jump on her. Yeah, well, I thought it was a good matchup for Alexis, that Mazo fight. As long as she got the fight to the ground. And she did a veteran move. She did a very veteran move, needed the W, did it safe, did it the right thing. She does get hit. She is open to getting hit, as we've seen prior to the Mazo fight. We saw in the Vivian fight, the Jennifer fight, the Caitlin fight. She does get lit up a bit. And like you said, well, one of the factors is she's 36 now, I think it is as well. So 135 division, the lighter weight classes, and she's had a lot of fights in her career. I think she'll have a tough time actually when she goes for the takedowns, because I have no doubt she'll try and go for takedowns because, like I said, well, I think the jab of Pannie will start to cause problems, start to lighten that face a bit. Pannie's strong. She's a strong girl, and she's good at reversing those grappling exchanges. She's good at fighting the underhooks, good at turning girls around to break up off the cage or even fight from the cage itself. And that's one of the strengths I've got for Pannie. I think that, like I say, well, I think she's got 3 hard rounds in her. The Sijara Eubanks was a good win because Sijara, I'm not a big fan of Sijara Eubanks. I'm not saying by any means she's anything great, but she's good. She's got a good grappling base. Good grappler. I thought Pannie showed pound for pound that she's got good strength, good conditioning, good fighting in her. She's got good exiting boxing skills when she breaks. She's got the good combinations from her hands. I like what she can offer with this. I like the threat that she can offer as well. The Betch Carrera fight showed she can strike with a girl on the feet. I think that Pannie should get a win here. I think it's a perfect name for her. And for the UFC, I think they're just being smart as well. They're getting the right kind of matchups here. Alexis on the out, Pannie's kind of going on the up. You pick the right matchups. You get a good name, Alexis Davis for Pannie. Then you start to give her another name. You go up the rankings for her. I think Pannie should get the W too. Well, I think, she'd get a decision win with Alexis Davis because we know she's tough as coffin nails, Alexis Davis. And she'll have a face like the back of a butcher's, So, yeah, definitely going down for that, bro. I tell you what, this is one of the harder ones for me to pick, Will. Straight up, I'd love to know what people's comments are. We've got people tuning in right now live on the stream. I want to hear your picks as well, folks. I fucking love the matchup, though, at 145. You got Hakeem Dawodu against Movsar Evloev. Bro, this fight mate, legit, I was kind of like, this is a striker against a grappler, right? Don't get me wrong. I know what it is, nuts and bolts. But Hakeem's kind of on that up. He's just going up and up and up in his strength. You know, he's starting to round everything off. And Evloev, as we know, is just a badass. You know, he's untouched. He is untouched. This is probably one of the better fights on the fight card, which is not getting talked about, in my opinion. I think this is like easily one of the better fights in the fight card. I'm a bit torn, bro. I think Hakeem, solid fighting. He's got lovely head kicks, lovely striking. Don't get me wrong, his last two fights are split decisions. He had hard opponents, and I think one of the things is his style. If it goes to grappling, it is a lesser bit. He starts to lose the points, and that's where he starts to lose the traction. We've seen with Evloev that he's got great conditioning. He's actually got a bit of pop in his hands. You know, with my Grundy fight as well, it was a big kind of, you know, don't sleep on what his hands can do. I don't think we'll see too much of that in this fight. I think Evloev is all about the takedowns here against someone like Hakeem. And obviously Nick Lenz fight against Hakeem was a good tester. Now, Evloev got his eye, and then I think actually Lenz messed up his orbital or something like that, or had some damage in that fight, but and we know Nick Lenz is one of the toughest dudes you've ever seen in the cage go in the UFC. And he's retired now, but I've got to be honest with you, he probably doesn't get as much credit as he should do, Nick Lenz. You know, that dude was tough as shit, man. That dude was rough. And Evloev just really put a hard fight on him. Kind of felt like Lenz had some good moments, but on a wrestling perspective, I love the grappling exchanges. I worry here with Hakeem that's where he might come short. That wrestling exchanges, I feel like the chain wrestling that Evloev can apply is something that Hakeem isn't adverse to, as, for example, they're going from the singles to doubles and changing the angles. I think that's where Hakeem might fall short here. I went with the gut feeling of Evloev in a decision, because I think Hakeem's tough enough to last out the 3 rounds. But Hakeem's dangerous, man. A knee, uppercut, head kicks are there. It's all, he has got the arsenal to hurt people and can do it. I'm just going with Evloev just on a gut feeling for this one, because it wasn't easy to pick, man. And I'm still like 51-49 on this.
It's just good matchmaking is what it is. It's really good, interesting matchmaking. I've always really liked Movsar Evloev. He's a guy, if you start watching guys out there in the regional scene and you see them come through, it's someone that you always kind of keep an eye on. So I've got a little bit of bias there, but I also love watching Hakeem Dawodu's striking. I think he's so fluent. I just like his demeanor. I like the meanness to him. I really like that. But to me, it's pretty straightforward. It's a grappler versus striker matchup here, and it's how do you think the fight's kind of going to go from there? I'm more on the side of Movsar Evloev, but I've got this sinking feeling that like Dawodu is going to stop some of these takedowns, and I think the feet is just going to be a little bit too sharp for Movsar. But Movsar striking, I think, is not all that bad either. I think that it's definitely something that has come on recently, but I've been sitting here thinking all week since I made my predictions on Monday. I'm like, did I make the wrong pick? Did I maybe make a kind of fan pick with maybe Movsar? Because I think the bet line is like plus 200 for Hakeem. I think that's high. I think that was even a little bit higher. But then I sit back and think Movsar could come out here and look minus 400, because if he gets these takedowns and he's dominant on top, and I mean he's a little bit undersized, I think, for 145, but I think if he could do that, then he could look like a minus 400 and look very, very dominant in this spot. But I'm going to lean on the side of Evloev, but I actually think Dawodu is actually super live. I think he's going to have a shot at this fight this weekend, and if he can stuff some of those takedowns, he's got like an 85% takedown as defense as well. But I think this is one of the better guys that he's faced with a takedown game. So I'm going to pick Evloev for the win.
Yeah, it is an easy will. I think this is such a hard fight to pick. I love the matchup, though. That's what I loved about it. I think the two guys their stock is going up every fight. They're performing better. They've evolved better. I'm loving the pair of them. So I'm a little bit they're fighting each other, but I think it's one of the top fights you're going to see on the fight card anyway. I'm going to go now to the 125 division. And we're in that murky war as well, really, of title contention. Lauren Murphy obviously is fighting Joanne Calderwood. Lauren Murphy was, title fight. Give me Shevchenko, all this stuff. And don't get me wrong, Lauren Murphy, she's got a case in her own right. Cynthia Carvalho pulled out. She's got a late replacement, but in her own right, she's 4-0. But to be fair, you kind of look and you think, Lauren Murphy's done a lot of improvements, but Shevchenko is a fucking world of difference. Will, love to know who you're picking for this one, bro. Now, don't go with. Are you going to go with your heart? Or
no, well, this is the thing. I think, like I say, there's out of all the fighters that I've kind of met and knew over the years, Jojo was by far the one that I've kind of known the longest. So, and like I've always got a soft spot for her. I'm always going to have a bias for her. I picked her on Monday, and I see since then I think I'm on the wrong side. So I'm going to change my pick from what I originally had, and I'm going to go with Lauren Murphy. I think that Joanne. I think it's a good fight for Joanne if she can not get taken down and not kind of get muscled up against the cage. I think that it becomes a really good fight for her in open space because I think her volume is just far too much, and I think that Murphy is far too hittable. The good things with Murphy is she can kind of blanket you a little bit. She can get takedowns. She's very strong, but like I say, she is in the best kind of spot of her career. Both girls seem to be in really good spots, and this is a kind of do or die fight for both girls if they ever want to fight for a title. Murphy's obviously in a longer kind of win streak. I think what she will want to do is pretty much tie Jojo up, and like if she can get the fight to the ground, I think she could look for that submission. I think that's what she's going to look to do. And I was more confident kind of earlier on, and even last week, I thought Jojo could come out here and just look kind of very, very, very dominant on the feet. But the kind of closer I get to the fight, the more that I'm kind of being pushed to the Lauren Murphy side. And I've never been a big admirer of Lauren Murphy, and I kind of feel like right now her confidence is through the roof. She's taken these fights of these girls, beating decent girls like Andrea Lee or Roxanne Modafferi's, tough girls. And to be fair, Jojo beat Andrea Lee as well. She beat her more cleanly than what Lauren did. Lauren was a little bit of a, I don't want to say it was a kind of controversial decision, but it was a very, very kind of close fight. So the kind of way I'm seeing this here is, I think that I think Lauren's going to really tie Jojo up a little bit. Now, you have to be careful with Jojo in the clinch because she's always had knees, elbows, so she'll throw anything she can to really get you off, and she'll bust you up a little bit. But I just feel like Lauren Murphy's going to just do enough in another close decision. Hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully Jojo comes out here and gets a clean W and then kind of goes from there. But I'm going to pick Lauren Murphy for the win in that one.
NBC kicking in as well. Calderwood is tough not to root for. I'm with you as well. Everyone, I remember meeting her down at, I want to say UFC London when it was the Ultimate Fight was going down, the female Ultimate Fight, and she was in it and stuff. And I remember meeting her there. And I've met her a couple of times since. But yeah, it is a tough one, this one. And it is really like, this is probably like a title contention kind of thing. Because neither have had title fight. Yeah, but I think for me, here we go. I think Calderwood got this one in the bag. Gustav is heavy. Look at that, heavy in there. Not even like a debate. He's in. Man, I'm actually on the Lauren Murphy side. Will, I thought you were going to go Jojo. I did think you were going to go Jojo. I'm on the Lauren Murphy side. I think what Lauren Murphy can do that Jojo doesn't quite enjoy, it is that grappling exchange, and she has got a way of getting fights to the ground. She has got a way of just putting that pressure on, and she fights dirty. Lauren Murphy is a dirty, in-your-face girl. At 125, she has looked a phenomenal fighter compared to 135. For 135, she was kind of in that middle ground. She was stuck. She was losing to the upper echelon girls because she just didn't have the size, and they were just bigger girls. And if you match technique for technique, but then you're 15, 20 pounds heavier, it doesn't matter, But then she had a couple of wins at 150, but 125 kind of just feels like a better fit for her. I feel like she looks a lot stronger. She looks a lot faster. She just seems a lot more confident when she's fighting there too. Kind of like Jessica I said when she said, she 125 is a real division for her. I think Lauren Murphy's a 125. For me, Joanne Calderwood, I don't want to say she bottles it. I'm not going to say she's a bottler, but if she wins this, there's a high chance she get a title shot, and I think JoJo might bottle it because she bottled it before, and I just get the feel a mentality on JoJo. She might bottle it. She doesn't bottle it as much as Tom Breeze, but she does definitely bottle it. And I think just to shout out Tom Breeze, I think probably want to retire and be a coach because clearly there's some anxiety or stage fright or whatever it is going on. And it's not clearly healthy for him, bless him. I think he's a phenomenal fighter. Absolutely phenomenal. I think he had the potential to be a title contender. He had everything you need, but he just didn't quite have that mindset. And I think my camera's freezing for some reason, which is always good news. I'm back again. Here we go. Sorry about that, folks. So I'm going to go with Lauren Murphy as well, bro. I think that she's... I think, as Gustav said, she has this one in the bag. We are going to go to rematch time, okay? We've got Eryk Anders and Darren Stewart are basically taking the choice not to cut weight, and they're just going to fight each other at the 205 division. Now, for folks who don't know, Darren Stewart fought in Cage Warriors 205, and then he's obviously went down in the UFC to 185 for a more suitable weight class for him. Your boy Anders, he has fought in both weight classes because he just wants that paycheck and he doesn't care who he's fighting. I don't believe Eryk Anders is ever going to get near a title, but at the same time, the dude is a fun guy to watch. Larry Hood, here we go. The boys are back together. We are, mate. We are like, I know, like Jonas Brothers or something, or I know, like Take That getting back together. Like Robbie Williams and Gary Barlow. That's what we're like, Marvin, new champ, though. Look at this. Some love coming in for Marvin, eh? I tell you what, I don't have a lot of love for Marvin's choice of clothes. Some style, he's got some stuff to answer for. Murphy looks like the type of person that is really uncomfortable to grapple with. Yeah, she does, mate. She looks freakishly annoyingly strong and just a dirty little fire. But I like what she's doing at 125. But let's quickly mention that obviously Anders and Stewart fought recently. There was the knee incident. Now, looking back at it, obviously when you watch it live, or it's always it's hard to look at everything subjectively. You're looking at seeing it live. You obviously got commentary, which always has as much as you don't want it to, commentary can have an influence on what you're viewing as well. I like to, when I do my tape study, it sounds weird. I do my tape study with no volume. I have no audio on my tape study. I feel I can get far more in depth with my studying than I can do if there's audio. I feel like it's a bit unbiased. So with the Eryk Anders incident, with the knee to the head of Darren Stewart was hurt prior to the knee. So he was already a little bit wobbly. Now, obviously when he stood up, the doctor saw him. I think the doctor wasn't happy that he was swaying a little bit. If you watch Darren, you maybe see how he saw him a little down. He's like, I'm good to go. And he's just swaying because his balance just quite wasn't there. Darren should have got 5 full minutes before the doctors came to discuss about him if he wanted to continue. I feel like the doctors were in too early. I think if Darren had full 5 minutes to recover, he would have wanted to continue. He may have felt that he's fully recovered, but I felt like they came a bit too soon with the decision. What was it, 2 minutes maybe? About 2 minute mark, they kind of roughly made that decision to call the fight off. Looking at the fight, Will, I thought Eryk was doing the right thing. I thought he was picking shots well. He backed up Darren to the cage and was picking off great shots at Darren. I was a bit frustrated with Darren Stewart's return because I felt like Darren was trying to throw hooks and Eryk Anders was on the end of those punches. Like he was out of the way. I want to see, if it was me rematching, I would. If I'm Darren Stewart's corner, I'd be like, he's going to charge you down. He's going to get against the cage. He's going to dirty box, grapple, wrestle like that. If he keeps you against the cage, don't throw hooks. Throw straights, 1-2s. Punch back with straights. You land. You got more chance of landing. If I'm at Darren Stewart, I'd be drilling double right straights. Double up on the right straight coming forward. On the return, you'll catch him out. But, man, I hate going against Darren because I've interviewed him since, Cage Warriors days, pro debut and all that stuff. So I'm going to pick Eryk Anders based on the performance of the last fight, and I don't know how much is going to change in that time. So I am going to pick Eryk Anders, similar to what was going on there. But I wouldn't be surprised if Darren comes back with a little bit of a fire in this one and just tries to be the bully rather than be bullied. But I'm going to go to Eryk Anders here.
Yeah, like I say, it's every match is different. So this rematch will be completely different from the first one. You can't really see it going the same way. But Anders, Anders is such a weird guy to kind of cap a little bit, because you watch him sometimes and he looks in kind of great shape. And then sometimes he kind of look not I don't want to ever say he's out of shape, but he looks a little bit slow, a little bit lethargic, very hittable. And then sometimes he just looks like he's on it. He's like the true athlete that you think that he is. And that move to fight ready down in Arizona has obviously worked wonders for him. And that seems to be one of the super camps that's coming up, even though they're pretty well established. But it looks like it kind of changes fighters a little bit. And he looked a completely different fighter. Now, he took some shots against Darren Stewart, but when he was landing, you could see that he was really hurting Darren Stewart a little bit. So, and he was a big underdog in that last fight. Now, the betting lines have kind of changed to the fact that he is, what's his betting line? I think he's minus 145. So he's kind of stuck to where he has been for the last week or so. And I'm on the Eryk Anders side. I'm a little bit interested to see why this is at 205 and not back down at middleweight. I think Darren Stewart doesn't want to cut the weight, I think. I'm sure I heard that.
Probably because of Darren travelling as well. It's probably a factor to do with it, because obviously with COVID, etc. going on, he probably doesn't feel like cutting down's a good idea. With COVID going on across the UK and America, and he's got to travel. And because Eryk's has done 205, the pair of them probably think, well, we're both just cutting to that weight class because we need to. Generally, we've both done 205. Yeah. The pair of them don't, it's why bother?
Yeah, if both are for it, then it is what it is. So, but I just think Eryk Anders is going to land some shots here. I think this could be it's like Eryk Anders is weird to me. You watch some of his fights back in, I'm really impressed. And then there's other fights where he looks like he doesn't look good. Like that Tim Williams fight, the Khalil Roundtree fight, he just did not look in great spots in those fights. He came through in the Williams fight, but the Khalil one, he got dropped numerous times, got hit with some big shots. I like him in this spot, but I would never be kind of confident enough to kind of bet him as a favourite. So the pick will be Anders in that one there.
Quick question here, Will. Gustav jumping in. What do you think of Tough so far, mate? I'll be honest with you. I've not watched it yet. I've not had a chance. I won't lie. I've not had time to even see what's going on with the fights.
Yeah, I've not watched any yet, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait like 4 episodes and then kind of binge watch them when I've got a little bit of time. Because, like I say, I'm not seeing much on social media, so I'm not really missing out on too much. But there's a couple of guys on there. I think there was...
there's a couple of good, decent dudes on there.
Mitch Raposo was fighting last night, so I'm interested to see how he gets on. I think he's a little bit under... I think he's a very good wrestler, but I think he should be fighting at 125, and he was one of my top prospects in that 135. So I think he had a tough fight, if I remember right. I did hear about his matchup, so like I said, when I get the chance, I'll sit back and watch it.
Yeah, I wish they'd do it like Netflix binge watch, like they put the whole season out.
Yeah,
I'd prefer they just did that. I know they do the build up for it, but just stick them all out so we could all do 10 episodes over one weekend, just binge watch it for the main event next week. Will, this next fight is fire. Absolute fire. Again, there's 5 fights on this card that are my picks, and I fucking love them, and this is in there. So I've had one already. This is the next one. Drew Dober against Brad Riddell. Mate, if that doesn't give you a chubby, there's something wrong with it. That fight is absolutely fantastic. Absolutely ecstatic about it. But what are you looking for in the fight, bro? Who are you picking? What are you seeing?
I think it's very, very good fight. It's another well-matched fight and another kind of step up for Brad Riddell. But I like the striking of Dober. I like the striking of Riddell. So I've got a funny feeling this one could be a really, really good back-and-forth kind of technical encounter on the feet. Dober's like a little kind of fire hydrant who's just very, very tough to face. And then Riddell, like I say, he's got so much experience with the striking all over the world and kickboxing and so on. And I think he's adapted fairly well to the kind of UFC. I think that it's not been, he's had some hard fights scheduled, and he's he's had to some fighters are pulled out in those spots. But I think this is a better fight than, let's say, he was supposed to go against Gregor Gillespie. I did not. I thought that wasn't great matchmaking. In all honesty, I thought he was in a little bit. I don't want to say trouble in that one, but I just thought that it wasn't the greatest style matchup for him. But in this one here, I don't think he's going to have to worry about takedowns, even though I think Dober can use them to his advantage. I think that if he was to kind of change it up a little bit, then go and get a takedown and just do something different than a kind of back and forth kind of brawl. I am a little bit concerned that if Riddell kind of eats a clean shot from Dober, because Dober's shown he's got power, he can put you out. And in that Malarkey fight, he took a knee a couple of times in that one there and was wobbled a little bit. But I kind of like Brad Riddell in this fight. Everyone that I've seen, like I said, I've not been on social media all that much. I think I've decided I'm kind of taking a step back with this baby on the way and just not wasting time being on it. And people's takes sometimes are funny and stupid at the same time. So, but I like Brad Riddell. I'm going to take him as an underdog here. I think that he comes through a very, very, very close striking affair. I think both guys could get wobbled in this one here and take clean shots. But I just feel like my gut's telling me Brad Riddell in this spot here.
I was watching the fight and I was sitting there thinking, the Mustafayev fight was a bit of belter, because you looked at Riddell, he had solid takedown defense. Really impressed with his takedown defense. Really impressed with that. So I thought to myself, right, well, Drew Dober doesn't really do takedowns anyway, but it kind of thought, right, Riddell's got that already, so he's going to keep it standing, and so's Dober. With Dober, he lost on, obviously, if you can get him down to the ground, there's a hole in his game. There's 2 losses, or 3 losses at submissions. So there is something in him where you get him down, you can submit him. That's just a weak spot he's got. We won't see that. I think Riddell here is an opportunity to show experience rather than. I know MMA striking is very different than Muay Thai. Kickboxing and Muay Thai. It's very different striking, smaller gloves, etc. Riddell just seems very patient and calm when he's striking. Oh, Big Willie has dropped out. He's gone. He's just gone. He'll be back in a moment, guys and girls. I think his Wi-Fi has dropped out. So shit happens. Anyway, yeah, like I was saying, I think with Riddell, he's got great striking. I think you can put combinations together there that are opportunity here for him to do it. With Drew Dober, you're going to get a guy who's going to stand up with you. NBC, you're going to take Dober. NBC, what is it about Dober, bro? What is it about Dober's striking or skill set that you maybe feel is a bit more superior than Riddell's? For me, Drew Dober, Alexander Hernandez fight, I thought was a solid fight for him. Got a good win. Got the very aggressive, landing the heavy strikes. The Hapras fight was a good win for him. I just don't know if he's fought someone of a striking level, Drew Dober, and like he's fought like Riddell. I feel like when you look through his career, he's always been actually the stronger striker. So with this one, I really feel that he isn't the stronger fighter in this one. I think Riddell's the better fighter. Is that Big Willie Star? Drop me a message. It is. Let's see what he's saying here. He is. Yeah, his Wi-Fi's dropped out. Give us 2 seconds. Let's just jump in here quickly. No worries. Jump in when you can. There we go. There we are, folks. That's it. Just dropping a message to Big Willie Star. But like I say, he is I think Riddell's a big shoe in here for me. I kind of feel like Riddell can get the striking and get the win. I just think this is I think it's going to be a kind of marquee fight for Riddell to really emphasize what a striker, what a depth striker he is in the division, and how he's a headache for everyone. And if you want to fight him, you're going to have to take him down. And like Will said, the Greg Gillespie fight, I don't think that would have been perfect for someone like Riddell. I think you would have had to, I think Gregor's wrestling would have really kind of shone in a fight like that. But like I say, NBC, if you feel like give me a breakdown of why you feel Dober will take it, love to hear your thoughts. Let's go over now. Let's just quickly jump over to the next fight I have on the card. Oh, here we go, bro. Here we go. I think I just got a little bit high regard for Dober with the Hapras and Hernandez fight. Yeah, maybe a little lack of seeing Riddell fight a whole lot, though. Just check out, there's quite a lot of Riddell stuff like kickboxing online, YouTube on NBC. because obviously I would be amazed if this fight was a grappling aspect. I would be amazed if it went to the ground. So NBC, if you get a chance, jump online, have a look at YouTube, and just see what you can find out on there with Riddell. You kind of get to see what he's like in a pure striking essence. Because I'd love to see the clinch game between these two as well. So it's going to be pretty sick. It's going to be pretty nasty. So we're going to see a lot of damage going down. So we're going to the next fight. Like I said, sorry about that, guys. 205 division and girls. And anything in between, we have Paul Craig taking on Jamahal Hill. And like Will said at the start of the podcast, this one really has got a kind of bad taste in the mouth. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's Jamahal Hill trying to talk the fight up, trying to get his social media status up. He is hell-bent on just fucking people up, and especially Paul Craig's got a thing against him. He's got something stuck between his teeth, though. He usually KOs his opponents when he wins. If he touches Riddell properly, he will prevail. Frank. Oh, sorry, Frank. Do you know what? I've never seen you on the podcast before. Frank Joe Doing. Is that pronounced right? Great to have you on and join us. Dober has got absolute missiles in his hands. I'm with you, brother. I've no doubt. And Drew Dober, I've met him in person. Lovely person, lovely human being as well. I just feel like, I don't know how much you've watched yourself, Frank, of Riddell's kind of credentials and background in kickboxing, but he's an absolute terror, man. If you're new to the channel, feel free to subscribe, bro. This is like an open community where, me and Will love every one of you, and we love the comments and feedback we get from everyone, and we love everyone joining in. So here we go. Yeah, hype for this one. I'm liking what I've seen from Hill thus far, but Craig is an expert on the ground. Yeah, it is again like a striker grappling kind of aspect where Paul Craig, he did win against Shogun, beat Shogun with tapping him out with strikes, but I've got to be honest with you, I feel like Shogun was done 4 years ago. I think everyone's, I've never been a fan of Shogun at 205 for the past 7-8 years. I feel like Shogun could have easily dropped down to 185, and I think he would have had a far more successful career path. But for some reason, he's stuck at 205. You can just see there's weight to lose at that weight class for him, but it is what it is. But look, then he fought. And for Antigulov as well. Antigulov likes to take you down, and that's just a silly thing to do. You're gonna get submitted there. One thing Paul's not been too fond of is heavy strikers. Khalil Roundtree, Tyson, Pedro, Alonzo Menfield. These guys who hit hard and come fast and do damage. These are the kind of guys you got to look out for. Jamahal Hill, OSP, that was a solid win. OSP win. Now, don't get me wrong, he turns up some days he doesn't turn up. Frank, Joe DeWin, got it, bro. Joe DeWin, it's how it's pronounced. I've enjoyed your podcast a few times now, so cheers, mate. Greetings from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. Hey, fantastic Canadian guys jumping in. So it's got a French finesse to it. Joe DeWin. Okay, Frank Joe. I've got to be honest with you, bro. My accents are not that great. While I can do Scottish a little bit, I'm not even going to bother doing it right now because I look an absolute turkey. I think Will is working on getting his Wi-Fi back up. He's a bit happy about it as he's messaged, but is what it is. The show will continue. I will keep putting the podcast live streams out, whether Will has got the Wi-Fi or if he has not, and we will stick together. MMA Huddle, like I say, it's a community. It's just opinions. We're allowed to have picks that are different, and we love to talk MMA. And feel free to join in and put any comments you like in about MMA. They do not have to match mine, and I don't have to match Will's, and vice versa. Me and Will always have different opinions on stuff in the MMA community, but we don't have to be bitter about it. We just have to respect each other's decisions because we're allowed to have an opinion. But Paul Craig here, he's got to get the fight to the ground. For me, against Jamahal Hill, I want to see what Jamahal has got in the takedown defense department. It's something that you're going to see because Paul Craig has had the opportunity to train with Phil DeFries, who's like the KSW heavyweight champ. So he's been training with some good guys. Paul Craig's had some opportunity to train with some bigger guys, heavy guys, to really kind of hone his skills against and Phil DeFries, talented dude. He's had a resurgence of his career and he's been fantastic. Jamahal Hill, he's a deadly kid. He's got potential in him. He's got power. in his hands. If he gets on top as well, he's kind of ground and pound's dangerous, but I don't think we're going to want to see too much of that. I think Jamahal Hill's a young buck as well, coming in with I'm going to say young buck, obviously young in his UFC tenure. But being 6'4" with 79-inch reach is something to look into. Paul Craig's got a shorter reach, and it certainly will play a factor in the fight. I think when you're trying to catch someone with grappling aspect, and you've got someone like Jamahal Hill throwing heat, I think Jamal's going to come in very aggressive. And I think Paul might be able to get a takedown here, because if Jamal's too aggressive, he will end up getting hurt. I think Jamal needs to do what he did with the OSP, just take his time, land the shots, and not rush that finish. Let the finish just come naturally, and that's a big fact. That's something that a lot of fighters can't do, is let the finish come naturally, take the time and get that done. But yeah, I'm going to pick Jamahal Hill. I don't know as well. There's a message back yet. I'm not sure who Will's going with on this one, because we actually don't discuss picks pre-podcast. We like to do it. We'll surprisingly surprise each other during the podcast, just because it's a bit more natural for the reactions, and it's good to see what he's thinking, so that we don't, like, when we do picks and he picks the same fighter as I do, it's not intentional. It's literally we've done our own views, our own perspectives, and then we just come together, and it's fun. I think that's what makes the picks be more interesting. One fight I'm looking forward to on the fight card is it like a retirement fight for this guy, Demian Maia? Like, what's going on? Demian Maia is going to fight Belal Muhammad, and I've got to be honest with you, that I thought Maia had retired already. If I'm honest, I thought he kind of stepped away. I thought that was him good. I don't know if he's trying to get 2 more wins so he gets to 30, but man, like, lost to Gilbert Burns, had the opportunity to get to another stab at the time, but Gilbert Burns got the finish, and away you go. And don't forget that was 15 months ago. And that was 15 months ago, that fight. So it wasn't recently. So you've got to think Demian Maia's got another year and 3 months. He's aged. Don't forget, he's not getting any younger. 43 years old. The dude's a legend. To be honest with you, in the UFC, I think he's done some fantastic work. Very humble. He's fighting a guy in Belal Muhammad who's on a tear at the moment. You have the incident with Leon Edwards, which, the eye poke was pretty gnarly. And when I watch it back on the tapes, it was feckin' gnarly, that eye poke. It was not fun to watch. But Belal's getting an opportunity to get another big name. And I think that's one of the things I kind of take my hat up to the UFC. That he held his own in against Leon, and he comes in and he gets another big name in Demian Maia. I think it's for Belal Muhammad. It's a perfect kind of fight to come into, because Demian Maia is definitely not on the incline. He's definitely going down. Belal's got good takedown defense. He's got good grappling. And don't get me wrong, he's not the same level of Demian Maia, but his striking and conditioning is freaking awesome. And this is something I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to see what kind of work Belal Muhammad could do on the feet and pick apart Demian Maia, because Demian just wants to get you down, and that's all he's got interest in. If you look at what your boy Gilbert did, you can see there that he's hittable. You can catch him, you can hurt him. Demian Maia can get hurt. He's not as tough as he was, let's say. Time, age, and the years of fighting catch up with you. Ben Askren, Rocco Martin, Lyman good wins for him. But then you look at the likes of Kamar Usman, Colvington, Woodley, those fights over time, Masvidal, Carlos Condit, all these fights over time, getting hurt sucks, getting hit sucks. And I think here you will see Belal Muhammad show what he's got. I think Belal's got a great skill set. Love the guy to death. I remember interviewing him back in the Titan FC days. And I do. I think that... quickly check this one from Big Willie. See if he's going to get back on or not. Here we go. No rush. Do what you can. There we go. I'm not going to force him. Trust me, I've had it myself, so I know exactly what he's going through with Wi-Fi being absolutely belling. Now, like I said, I am going to go with Belal Muhammad. Now, I don't think Demian Maia, even at 43, is a pushover. And I'm not going to say that it's an easy fight for him, but it's a bloody good shot for Belal Muhammad here to get himself a name. Obviously, I remember the name, but this is doing, I think he's doing podcast stuff as well, Belal. So this is like a perfect fight for getting a Demian Maia win. But I'm going to go with that. And that's my pick for this one. But let's go to another 170 fight here. I've got to be honest with you, guys and girls, this one is the easiest pick I have had on the card. And I'm not even lying. Leon Edwards against Nate Diaz. I don't even think it's a discussion. I don't even think it's even a discussion. Leon Edwards is going to absolutely murder Nate Diaz. He's going to absolutely rip him a new one. Nate Diaz at 170 against the elite 170, it was not even a competition. It's not a good weight class for him. Leon Edwards had all sorts of troubles to get back in the cage since 2019. All sorts of troubles, you know. This is it. Big fight. Nate Diaz, I think the UFC know what they're doing. It's a perfect opponent for him. Leon and Nate, they're going to stand. I think Nate's going to get hurt because Leon's bigger and stronger. I think Leon's fast. Nate's got quick hands, but don't get me wrong, at 170, when Nate Diaz fights at 170, when he fought like a Jorge Masvidal, it was a cut, obviously, that caused the problem. That scar tissue has not gone away. Nate still has the scar tissue. You hit him, you cut him, you can start cutting that up again. So that's another kind of plus there for Leon. You know, the Anthony Pettis fighting the Jorge Masvidal, the 155ers, Conor McGregor, 155er. You know, Michael Johnson, that was a good win for him back then in 2015. That was when he was at 155. You know, if you go back in time, when he fought Rory McDonald and Dong Hoon King, didn't get the wins. These guys were at the period at that time, 2011, those were the elite 170 guys. Didn't go too well for him. I'm telling you now, 170 elitists are not the kind of guys they should be fighting. And this one here is a Leon Edwards. I think he can get a stoppage. I think he's very much in the realm of getting a stoppage here against Nate Diaz. NBC, I think we should see a lot of Diaz getting lit up on the feet and then doing that thing where he falls on his back to try and lure people into his guard. Yeah, I think the same thing. I think he'll get hit a few times and realize that this isn't fun. This kind of sucks. And I don't want to be standing here for another two more rounds having this happen. So I'm going to get hit. I'm going to let him hit me and think he's hurt me. I'm going to fall back, like you say, get him pulled the guard. But I think Leon's going to be smart, man. I don't think Leon's going to even waste his time getting down into that guard. I think he's going to make him stand straight up, straight away, and just keep doing rinse and repeat, rinse, repeat. If I'm Leon Edwards, I want to make a showcase of this fight. I want to make myself look like the next title contender. So I'm going to put on a performance, and I'm going to show everything I can. What you saying, Frank? Let's go, bro. Let's go. Nate will bleed if he catches a breeze, let alone an actual strike. I can see a doctor stoppage due to cuts. Mate, it was kind of like Frankie Edgar with the nosebleeds. It was guaranteed. I think Nate now, that man, he's got an immense amount of scar tissue built up. I think someone like Vanderlei Silva got his like surgery done or Nick done or something like that, just to try and help it. Nate is in a bad spot with his career because all that scar tissue is not going to help him, especially judges. You see a cut, you see the blood that's damaged, you win big points there. So, man, I'm going on the side of Leon Edwards big time here. You know, I'd put the house on Leon Edwards. You know, I don't even see it getting even close. So next up we have is a rematch on the 125ers. Another rematch on the card. Davison Figueiredo against Brandon Moreno. Now, what a fun fight that was when these two cats fought originally back in, what was it, last year? Yeah, December last year it was. I knew it wasn't that far ago. I know it's only June, so it doesn't feel like that. It was that long ago. It was one of the best 125 fights you've seen. To be honest with you, you know, I thought that Brandon Moreno was tough as coffin nails. He took it on the chin, didn't have an issue, was able to keep pushing that hard, that pace, was smiling, engaging with the grappling, throwing his own strikes back, landing some good numbers, landing some good volume. I thought Figueiredo was calm and patient. First round, he looked very dominant with his strikes we landed, and then he looked towards the fourth and fifth round. He was still landing those power strikes. Hands were low, moving, slipping punches. I thought the pair of them were just so much entertainment. I thought the grappling aspect was interesting on both parties. Man, back and forth battle of just entertainment and sheer value. And I think, again, we're going to get something like that. I think we're going to get two dudes who are just going to be pure entertainment for the fight factor. One thing I do think about, though, is like Brendan was taking some big hits from Davison Figueiredo. You can't keep taking those hits. There's no way your chin gets stronger with taking more punches like that. It doesn't go up, it goes down. It's like an energy bar. I don't know if you bloody played Minecraft and your hearts go down, if you're playing Mortal Kombat, your energy, it doesn't come back, it goes down. And Brendan was taking a lot of hits, man. So I kind of was a bit dubious on it when I looked back at it. I thought, if they tighten this up, if they can tighten Brendan up a little bit on the striking, 6 months, they've got time for that. Involve a little bit of head moving, a little bit of slipping. Because I'm not saying Figueiredo's telegraphed, but there's opportunities where you can tell he's wanting to just stand and throw at you. Engage the striking, get the takedowns if you're Brendan, and try and just nullify that grappling aspect. But just so you don't get hit in the head as much. But I don't know, man. I think Davison Figueiredo might be a bit more patient this time. In the first round, the first time they fought, he was very aggressive, very heavy hitting, and I felt that he was trying to put the fight away in the first round. He felt confident because he was landing so much, and then obviously when he realised that the kid wasn't going anywhere, he had to start pacing his 5 rounds. If I'm Davison Figueiredo, I'm just going to pace my striking this time. 5 rounds, I'm going to pick my shots a little bit wiser. I'm going to land heavy, land hard, and then start picking this kid apart. Stop the grappling, nullify takedowns, and that's what a champion should do. That's what a champion should aim to do. I think you're going to get another decision. I think Brendan can get hurt again with the striking from Figueiredo, but I think Figueiredo, hopefully, he's learned from the last fight a little bit of kind of championship and mindset and IQ in the cage. Patience with your heavy strikes. You'll pick them apart. You'll have this all day long. So I think we're going to have an and still for this one. Is Will still trying? He's still trying. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go big. I'm going to go here with the champ getting defense of his title. Definitely. Now, gosh, what do I say? Main event of the evening. We're back for the main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, we have got Israel Adesanya taking on Marvin Vettori in a rematch, like Will said earlier on, of magnitude back in 2017 was it? These dudes these cats fought each other. Let's have a check here. But don't get me wrong, Adesanya's went on a freaking tear since then as well. That was only just 2018 it was. There you go. That's it. Jeez, since 2018 he's just fought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. He's fought 8 times since then. Bloody Nora. Adesanya has not stopped that bloody fight train. Obviously lost to Jan Blachowicz in the decision, and that was just pure size. I don't think Israel Adesanya is a 205er by any means. I think it was more a case of if he got the win at John Jones fight would have potentially happened, and it would have been a big moneymaker. I think for me, stick at 185. Izzy, you're a 185er. Stay at 185 and just dominate. Be the next Anderson Silva. Dominate the division. Don't waste time going up. Now, Marvin Vettori, another guy, man. I take my hat off to Marvin Vettori. The cat has done solid work. Lost to Izzy, came back on the bounce, and has just been winning. Bang, bang, bang. 5 wins. Happy days. There you go. He got a rear naked choke in one of them as well, so it's good to get a kind of stoppage in there because it felt like he was getting one too many decisions for me, but it was good that he's at least got a stoppage in there. The Manson fight, he looked solid. The Kevin Holland fight, he really played that one well. I just feel like his fight IQ and his development as a fighter has come along leaps and bounds, Marvin Vettori. I feel like that, if he's smart in his fight, that he's got a tough chin, Marvin. That he can come forward and just got good cardio and good output. In the fight that they had, it was interesting as well. I feel that Marvin, if he goes for, hopefully Marvin's learned that I wouldn't go for the takedowns against Izzy. I think Izzy's definitely shown that 185 he can hold his own against the cage against guys and nullify takedowns, and it's a fight on feet. Now, how do you win a fight on feet against a guy who's kind of evasive and he's got a very good knowledge of counter striking and movement? You make the fight dirty. You just put that chin down, you put those hands up, you come forward, you close a distance, and you make that fight a war. You don't sit there and be tactical with your rangefinder, and you get right in that face and you do not leave them for 5 rounds. You put a pace on Izzy, you see what if he can withstand the fire, withstand the heat, and that's how you find out if he's ready for it. Now, can Marvin do that? Is that what Marvin will do? I don't know. There is a reach advantage here for Izzy as well, of 80 to 74 inches. It's a 6-inch gap. If I'm Izzy, I'm going to try to manipulate it, make the most of it. I believe it'll be in a larger cage, this one, because obviously they're going to Arizona. It's going to be a big pay-per-view. I think we'll have a big cage, big factor to take into it. The room and space and movement for Izzy to manipulate is there for him. He's got the opportunity. I'd like to see what he can do with this. I'm just going to give a special shout out. It's a bit off the cuff, but it's not even MMA related. But if you are invested in AMC stocks, if you are a diamond hand ape and you're part of the ape nation, keep tight, brothers and sisters. Don't let the hedgies win. Wedgies for hedgies. Stay strong. Hold tight. Don't let go. I want everyone to make money on that. I want you all to get home and make big wedge. So kudos to any people out there. Stick it to the man. Let's make that money, people. But back to that fight. I'm going to pick Izzy. I'm not. I've got to pick Izzy because I just feel like he is at 185. He's just exponentially exploded in its skill level in the 185 division. His pace, his striking ability, his movement, his awareness of what's going on is phenomenal. I've got all the time in the world to watch him, and I think he absolutely can do something in this one again where it will just be hard for Vettori to get there. I think he'll have a tough time, Vettori, getting the win because he'll have a hard time getting strikes landed. I think he'll have a hard time just closing that distance the whole fight. And I think that's where Izzy can win, just on the basis on the fact that you just can't get to him. He's just always landing that couple more strikes more. He's always landing. And I think, oh, here he is. There he is. Big Will is back. Big Willie Styles back, people. He's got his Wi-Fi up. He's back. It's okay, bro. It's okay. And you're talking right now and there's no audio. It's all good because your Wi-Fi's playing up again.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now. You're a bit quiet, a bit muffled. You on your phone?
Yeah, I'm on my phone because I cannot go into my laptop at all.
I thought so. There you go. Bro, how about this one? Quick picks, right? Mm-hmm. Craig or Hill?
I'm on Jamahal Hill.
Okay. And then we're going to go down to Belal Muhammad versus Demian Maia.
I'm on Muhammad, but I think that Demian Maia, I think he's a live dog here. I think he can backpack Belal a little bit for one of these rounds and make it a little bit closer than kind of what the betting line suggests. So I'm picking Belal. I just think that he might be able to kind of hit and run a little bit because I think that Damian's going to be jumping at legs and trying to really tie him up. But I'm on Belal there.
And what about Edwards versus Diaz?
Yeah, I don't understand the fight personally, but I like it for Leon Edwards for the simple reason that I think it's a named guy. There's not too many other guys out there who bring kind of much of a name outside of Nate Diaz. So, and Nate Diaz must obviously see something. Nate Diaz must see something that he kind of likes in Leon Edwards to take this matchup that he thinks he can win. I'm just not for it. I think he's going to be in a little bit of trouble here against Leon Edwards. I think he's going to pick and pop at him for 25 minutes and really kind of hurt him a little bit.
That was interesting. A draw. Moy's audio jumping in there.
Decent.
Hey, he's right. You know, you could see like a 10-8 round for Belal where he lands on that feet, and then all of a sudden you get like a little backpack session from Demian Maia, or Demian Maia could do a 10-8 round with the backpack, and then two 10-9 rounds for Belal. So I like that, brother. There's nothing wrong with saying that. Co-main event then, Figueiredo, Moreno, the rematch. What are you thinking there?
I love the fight. I really think it's a good fight, especially if it's anything that's going to be like the first one. Then I think we're in for a great night. But I think, quickly kind of give him a pick for this, I think that Davidson's going to knock him out. I think, like, I know both guys were coming in after kind of 3 weeks out from their last fight. So both of them were the same. But I just think that with the more preparation, I just think Davison's a more dangerous fighter personally, and I think that I think he's got the power to knock him out. I think he can submit someone like Brandon Moreno. I think that he can outlast Brandon Moreno and hurt him at any point in this fight here. So for me, I'm going to pick Davison. I'm going to pick him via knockout inside the first 2 rounds. I think he lands a kill shot and puts Moreno out. So the bet that I'm kind of looking at for this is Davison inside the distance or Davison via knockout. So I'm looking at that bet closely. But I just think that when I was watching the countdown show and I was seeing, and I know I'm taking a wee bit away from this, but it's like he's in like the Venom shoots and he's in the Mexican TV and he's saying that this is what the life is like, and I'm like, dude, you need to get that belt around your waist before you already like you can kind of live your life like that. So, but I think he's like since he's returned to the UFC, I think he's been really good, very very dangerous. But I just think that Davison is the guy in that division. I think he's the clear guy at the top of that division. I think he shows it this week.
And then main event, then Izzy Vettori rematch.
This is another one here that I feel pretty confident in Izzy, but then I'm thinking, and then I went and watched Vettori. Yesterday, I went and watched a lot more of his fights, and that guy's made some big skill jumps in the last 3 years. I think with his confidence, with a lot of different aspects, he can mix up, he can be dangerous on the feet. His pressure. Now, when you watch the first fight, I think to me it's pretty clear. It's a 29-28 for Izzy. I think it's maybe even a 30-27 Izzy. Because in that third round, I mean, he gets the takedowns, he get a couple of them in there, but it didn't really. He did nothing with them, to be honest with you. He didn't land anything substantial with those shots. And then back in the feet, Izzy didn't really land anything too substantial either. But I think he got a case for a 30-27. I think I give Vettori the round very, very closely, but 29-28. But the thing that I'm thinking, right, when I'm watching that fight is like, how are the judges scoring that fight? Or a judge is scoring that fight for Vettori. And I'm like, well, if you watch him, he comes forward, he swings a lot of leather, doesn't land a hell of a lot, but his pressure's there. But to be fair, if you look at the end of the fight, Izzy was a little bit busted up, he was a wee bit bruised in some certain areas, and you're going to get that in a 15-minute fight. But the other thing I think about with this one is Izzy lost the fight. I know it was up a division, I know it was not his division, but it's like he still lost the fight. Is his confidence still going to be there? Is he going to kind of be doubting himself a little bit? And all intents and purposes, like when I've watched him this week, it doesn't look like that he does. He's still got that confidence of being the best middleweight in the world, and rightly so, he should have that. I think Vettori is very live in this fight if he can get some takedowns early on and establish a little bit, because I think it's pretty plain to see that Izzy's like worst aspect of his game is his takedown. His takedowns are that, but you got to remember that Jan he's probably 230, 240. It's cutting down to 205. He's a bigger dude. There's just more mass to him than what some of these guys at middleweight is now. Vettori's a big dude for that division as well, but I'm going to slightly lean Izzy. I got a funny feeling that he might catch Vettori with something, but I actually think Marvin's a very live fight in this spot, but I'm going to pick Adesanya. I would actually prefer Adesanya to win the fight. I prefer watching him more than I do to Vettori, just for his overall skill set. But Vettori's, I mean, he's absolutely earned his shot here, but he's not fought any of the kind of top caliber guys. When I think about it, he hasn't fought a Whitaker, he hasn't fought. He'll never fight a Gaston, but he's not fought like a Romero or a Paulo Costa or any of those guys that are said to be in the top 5 as well. He's been fighting Carl Roberson, Jack Hermansson, and that's
Kevin
not
Holland,
any knock. Yeah, Kevin Holland. That's not any knock on him either. But it's just the way it's kind of pan. But I've got Izzy, but I think that Marvin is very live in this spot.
Nice, bro. Right, we are going to jump into the betting side of things. And again, if you're new to the channel, if you've not checked out the channel, I need you to hit that subscribe button. It takes 1 second to press the button. Come on, guys and girls. Don't be lazy. Hit the button. Hit the like. Make a comment on the pics. Helps with the analytics for the YouTube stuff. And join in the conversation. Join the family, guys and girls. Will, have you got any picks in particular you're looking or leaning towards at the moment?
I'm kind of being... Steven Peterson is like really interesting to me because I think it's more a fade on Chase Hooper, but would it surprise me if Chase Hooper submits him or something? Absolutely not. So I'm kind of looking at Steven Peterson, but then I think I'm playing him at like a chalk line. I'm not too... Like, I think it's maybe -110 a piece, so there's not much between them.
It is, yeah, it's a pick in there.
Yeah, it's a bit of a sketchy kind of fight that I should maybe just stay away from. Like I say, I quite like Davison inside the distance or by knockout. I think by knockout was like +200, I want to say. Earlier on in the week when I looked on Monday, I quite like a parlay, or I did like a parlay of Jamahal Hill and it was Matt Frevola against Camacho, but I don't know what the line is with that one there. And who was that? There was another parlay I quite liked. Davison. I could see me actually parlaying Jamahal Hill and maybe Davidson as well. That's kind of where I'm looking at. But like I said, I've picked quite a lot of favourites in this card.
Well, Lauren Murphy's +120, bro.
The one that does kind of feel... Yeah, I know, but the dog spot that I quite like is, if it's anyone, it's probably Brad Riddell. I think...
I was going to say, yeah, +115, I can see it.
Outside your Vendramini. Yeah, Vendramini's and Murphy. But they're all close fights. I see them all being close fights, so I've not got much confidence kind of in the dogs this week, but there'll be dogs that pop up. I'm sure there's people out there that'll see clear decisions, see a clear dog, maybe like we've had people in the chat there talking about Vettori and bet Vettori and stuff. So some people are out there definitely betting those big dogs. So I wish them all the best. I'll be kind of staying away and playing it a little bit conservative this weekend, and hopefully I can land a couple because I need to land a couple because recently it's not been greatest betting wise after the good start I had to the year.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's some interesting picks on the card. Like you say, Riddell could be like someone, like I've said, like with Lauren Murphy, parlay them together. Happy days, are already plus money, so gosh knows what could happen there. But like I said, Will, there's some picks out there that people are putting. I'd love to know what your bets are, folks. And like Will said, I echo what he says. I hope everyone makes money. I hope everyone gets paid and gets wedged, and makes your lives a little bit easier. And that's all that matters in the world. So, look, take care of yourselves, people. We love you all very much. Will, it's great to have you back on. We'll be back for the next pay-per-view, as always. I don't know. I can't even remember what the next pay-per-view is. Is that many bloody cards to keep up with? It's not like the good old days where there's a pay-per-view now and then. There's a bloody Poirier and bloody McGregor one is next. 10th of July, Will. Literally a month away. We've got 2 cards between there. You've got Korean Zombie and Ige against Volkov and Garner, and then you've got your Poirier and McGregor 3, which in itself is a kind of barn burner, a big fight. But Will, take care, bro. Look after the family. Great to have you back. And ladies and gentlemen, join us all for the next podcast, all right? Okay. Keep safe. And I'm hitting